Hello and a warm welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Global AM News here on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Uji Agmofwegwe, reminding our viewers that we are on the STV channels 365 and Star Times 276. Vice President Kashif Shettima has affirmed Nigeria's commitment to strengthening diplomatic ties with the Republic of Congo, acknowledging the leadership of President Denis Sassou Nguesso in promoting regional peace and stability, especially across Africa's Great Lakes region. Speaking at the reception for the Prime Minister of the Republic of Congo, Anatole Collinet Makoso, at the presidential villa in Abuja, Vice President Shettima lauded the leadership of the Congolese president, reaffirming Nigeria's commitment to strengthening bilateral ties. The Vice President also said Nigeria will consider Congo's request for support in its bid to lead the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. The federal government has launched the Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zones program in Ijaye, Ibadan, Oyo State, aimed at transforming Nigeria's agricultural sector. Vice President Kashif Shettima, represented by Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, described the initiative as a key pillar of President Bola Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda. Senator Kyari said the program is designed to drive an agro-industrial revolution by turning Nigeria's agricultural produce into value-added products, creating jobs and boosting the economy in partnership with the federal and state governments as well as other strategic partners. Ahead of the International Day of Breastfeeding, prominent Islamic scholars in Kaduna State have thrown their weight behind the campaign for child spacing, citing religious backing and health benefits for women and children. The call was made during a one-day sensitization meeting with imams and ulamas in Kaduna State. The event aims to bridge the gap between health education and religious understanding by engaging influential faith leaders. Speaking at the event, Dr. Yakubu Arigasiu, a medical practitioner and scholar from the Council of Ulamas, emphasized that Islam supports the concept of child spacing. Incidentally, the World Breastfeeding Day will top the agenda on our conversations today here on Global Television. Troops of Operation Wellstroke have rescued 11 kidnapped victims and recovered a significant cache of arms and ammunition during a coordinated offensive against criminal elements in Benue and parts of neighboring Taraba State. A Benue State correspondent Felicity Inderi now reports.
The Operation Wellstroke, in well-coordinated high-impact operation due to the offensive escalating criminal activities, carried out a major raid on Teaho and Chito communities in Okum local government area of Benue State. The operation took place between August 2nd and 3rd, 2025, with air support and strategic ground positioning by Sector 3 troops in neighboring Taraba State.
They were saying today is a bad market for them, so the informant gave them wrong information. That's the reason why they kidnapped me.
Briefing journalists at the Force headquarters in Makudi, Force Commander of Operation Wellstroke, Major General Moses Gara, said the troops engaged suspected kidnappers in a firefight, leading to the arrest of 2 key suspects and the rescue of 11 hostages, including police inspectors who had been held in captivity for weeks.
In the recent past, we have received reports of kidnapping in the Sankara axis of Benue State, that is Katsina Ala, Okum and Logo axis. We conducted a deliberate operations that led to the rescue of 11 kidnapped victims, including 2 serving police inspectors. 2 suspects were arrested during this operation. They are in our custody. They are being profiled. One was an armorer, while the second was the security chap that was looking after the kidnapped victims.
The raid is said to have weakened the criminals' capacity with the recovery of weapons and ammunition, while rescued victims describe enduring torture, starvation and fear, expressing gratitude for their freedom.
On the 14th, I was granted leave due to my health condition. So on my way around 8 p.m., I saw a place like a checking point. I saw two men armed rush to my car. They asked me to step out. I stepped out. They collected my phone, collected the money I have. So one of them gripped me and dragged me into the bush.
So on the 16th June, while I was on my way to my station, between Zakibian and Wukari, we ran into a group of kidnappers. Today I am 48 days in their camp.
Recovered significant haul of weapons and logistics from the objective area by troops included 4 FN rifles, 3 G3 rifles, 4 AK-47 rifles, 1 PKT machine gun, 1 locally fabricated Danny gun, 15 AK-47 magazines, 3 FN rifle magazines, 31 rounds of 7.62 mm NATO ammunition, 184 rounds of 7.62 mm by 54 ammunition, 1 pistol magazine, 5 smoke discharge canisters, and several fetish charms. In Makudi, Felicity Ndere, reporting for Global TV News.
Well, thank you so very much, Felicity Ndere. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, says the internal crisis in the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has subsided for now, following the recent exits of some top party figures, including former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Speaking during a media chat in Abuja, Wike noted that although the situation has calmed, there are still some unresolved matters the party must address. He insisted that the PDP needs internal reflection and decisive action to remain relevant. Elsewhere, Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, says the Federal Capital Territory will begin sealing off properties in Abuja whose owners have failed to pay ground rent despite a grace period approved by President Bola Tinubu. Speaking during the media chat, Wike said non-payment of taxes is unacceptable, warning that no political or investment concerns will stop enforcement. The warning follows the earlier sealing of the People's Democratic Party's secretariat among nearly 4,800 properties affected by the revocation. Minister of Works David Umahi has dismissed as false and misleading a publication that claimed the Southeast is neglected in road infrastructure development. This is contained in a statement by Mohammed Ahmed, Director, Press and Public Affairs in the ministry, insisting that President Bola Tinubu has been fair to all regions of the country, including the Southeast. He also stated that the president had revived 90% of abandoned road projects, some dating back to 2013, and still executing new ones without discrimination. The West African Examinations Council, WAEC, has announced the official release of the results for the 2025 West African Senior School Certificate Examination for school candidates. In a statement issued via X, the examination body confirmed that candidates who sat for the examination can now access their results online. Kwara State's government has approved 20 billion naira to bridge gaps in the state's public school infrastructure and has directed the amounts to be captured in the supplementary budget. Commissioner for Education, Dr. Lawal Olongbegbe, who made the disclosure in Ilorin, the state's capital, said the fund will support extensive upgrades ongoing since 2020. He also emphasized that the investment follows the state's renewed relationship with Universal Basic Education, UBEC, to improve learning environments across schools. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has recommended contingency plans for states across the country to address the challenges of flooding and other disasters. The agency's head of operations for Abia and Imo State, Nnamdi Igwe, made the recommendation while speaking in an interview in Owerri, Imo State capital, following a 5-day workshop for emergency responders on disaster preparedness and flood response. Igwe, who described the workshop as imperative, said given the rainy season and rising floods as well as expert predictions, it is necessary for Imo State to produce contingency plans to tackle the situation. This is Global Television. You're onto the live broadcast of the AM News. When the rest of the broadcast returns, Ghana raises cocoa prices ahead of 2025 farming season. Details coming shortly, plus foreign export stories on the other side of this break. Please do stay with us. The rest of this news broadcast now returns with business. Ghana has increased the producer price of cocoa by more than 60% ahead of the 2025-2026 season, a move expected to put pressure on the top cocoa producing rivals like the Ivory Coast. The move could also raise global cocoa costs even further at a time when supply chains are already tightening due to climate shocks and aging farms. Finance Minister Kesil Ato-Forson says the rate paid to farmers will rise from $3,100 to $5,040 per ton, a 62.58% increase. The federal government has reaffirmed its resolve to provide Nigerians with stable and uninterrupted electricity supply as President Bola Tinubu intensify efforts to reform the power sector under his renewed hope agenda. Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu restated these commitments during the commissioning of the Kwaru injection substation in Ikoto-Egbe, Lagos State. Adelabu said the president's administration, while driving the renewed hope agenda, recognizes that energy is not merely a commodity but the backbone of economic growth and job creation. President Bola Tinubu has waded into the growing concerns over the possible suspension of funding for key road infrastructure projects being executed under the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited tax credit scheme. Speaking during an engagement held in Abuja with the affected contractors, Minister of Works David Umahi relayed the President's message reaffirming the administration's unwavering commitment to infrastructure development. Umahi said in a decisive move to avert disruptions and allay stakeholder fears, the President has issued firm directives to ensure continuity of the scheme and the timely release of payments to contractors. Now time to take the news beyond our shores. India and the Philippines have staged their first joint sail and naval exercises in the disputed South China Sea. The 2-day joint military deployment that kicked off is likely to anger China, which claims nearly the entire key waterway and has separate territorial disputes with the two Asian countries. Philippine Chief of Staff Romeo Brona Jr. said the joint sail took place inside his country's exclusive economic zone. One person has been confirmed dead and 11 others injured after a collision between a bus and a freight train in Russia's Leningrad region. That's according to local railway authorities. Officials said the bus drove onto a level crossing in front of an oncoming train, and though the train driver applied emergency brakes, the crash could not be avoided. Emergency services responded to the scene while investigations are ongoing to determine whether the bus was a regular service vehicle or a tourist bus, as conflicting reports suggested. Saudi Arabia has executed 17 people in just 3 days, including 2 Saudis convicted of terrorism and 15 others, mostly foreigners, for drug offenses like hashish and cocaine smuggling. The pace of executions is the highest since March 2022, when 81 were killed in a single day, drawing global outrage, with 239 executions already recorded in 2025. The kingdom appears set to surpass last year's record of 338. Now let's take you to sports, where President Bola Tinubu has hosted a presidential reception at the new banquet hall of the Presidential Villa in Abuja in honor of Nigeria's women's basketball team, the Tigress, following their historic triumph at the 2025 FIBA Women's Afrobasket Championship. The victorious team and their officials were also warmly received by the First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, supported by the wife of the Vice President, Nana Shetima. Vice President Kashif Shetima, who represented Tinubu, commended the team for their exceptional performance and dedication, describing them as worthy ambassadors of the country. World record holder in the women's 100-meter hurdles, Toby Amuso, has cruised to victory in the event at the 2025 Athletics Federation of Nigeria's national trials at the Yaba College of Technology Sports Complex in Lagos State. The 28-year-old fired quickly off the blocks at the Yaba Tech Sports Complex and wheeled away to clinch the first position in a time of 12.57 seconds for her fifth title. Amuso finished ahead of rising star Adobe Tabubo, who came second in a time of 13.03 seconds, while Faith Osamuyi placed third in a time of 13.36 seconds. And that's Global TV AM News. Thank you for watching. A quick reminder that you can find us on DSTV channels 365 and Star Times 276. Remember to engage with us across all of our social media platforms, including at Global TV NG. I am Uyi Agmofwebe. Global Morning starts shortly. Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Hello and a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us here on Global Television. This is again another day, the second weekday here, and this is Global Morning. I am Uyag Mofwegwe saying it's always a huge delight knowing that you're joining us here. If there's a lady you have missed on the show for a while now, I think you won't miss her anymore, at least for the foreseeable future, because she's back to where she rightly belongs.
No comment on that. Well, it's great to be here. I am Jumai Manson, and of course, it's great to be here on the program Global Morning. Thank you, Uyi, for holding it down. You and Ramsey have done an amazing job.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Right.
I really appreciate
you were missing in action, but it feels great knowing you're back now. As they say, life does not allow for vacuum.
Yes, it does.
It looks like nothing really changed when you were away because you have people who were here filling in and all of that. But
Very true.
Yes, it's a delight to know you're back. A lot has happened, not really behind you, because you have been following the news
yes.
As the broadcast journalist that you are.
Yes.
Some of those things to actually forge or form the thrust of our conversations today. Well, you are a woman, maybe you understand this subject better than the rest of us. The issue of breastfeeding.
Of course.
Yes, exactly. One whole week dedicated to that. That's to also show the significance of it. All right.
It's very important.
So I think Juma is likely going to be the poster lady of this conversation because, like you said, it's on the whole week. So here on Global Morning, across our news broadcast and even on Insight today, you're going to see all of those elements around breastfeeding. The theme for this year, invest in breastfeeding, invest in the future, and all of that. Maybe we're not having that conversation enough.
We're not, because a lot of people take that for granted. There are lots of women out there who just feel once they give birth, because they do not want their breast to sag, they feel, oh no, I cannot breastfeed.
The modern woman.
Are you the modern woman? I don't want to say the Gen Z, so they don't come after me. But quote unquote, the modern woman who feels, no, it's too much stress. How can I wake up 3 a.m. to feed a crying child when I have the formula to do that? Not knowing that the breast milk on its own, it's a booster when it comes to the brain of that child, to develop that child very well. It's very important. Even they will tell you, of course, we have a doctor here who will come and do justice to this, why it's important to breastfeed and for how long you can breastfeed your child for. At least, even if you do not want to stretch it out to like a year or so, like most women do, you can do the 6 months. But I'm sure she's going to throw more light on it on the program Global Morning. But at the same time, so the myth around if you breastfeed a child and then the breast will sag and never come back to its place. There are always ways. There are ways you can balance it and do all of that. But you know, it's very important that individuals are aware that breastfeeding, it's important, that nutrient, the value that it gives to a newborn, because you know the brain of the newborn, it's very delicate. It needs to develop fast. So the weight amount you give that child, that breast milk, the early stage, improves the immunity of that child to grow and of course to understand fast enough. So it's very important that we know that, and do justice when it comes to breastfeeding the child without any sentiments, without any apologies. It's important that you breastfeed that child.
Right. Like you right said, all those issues, I mean, the myth around it will be busted this morning on account of this conversation. And then we also need to address misconceptions and misgivings around this whole issue. But for me, I think one thing really sticks out for me, which is the idea of investment. Investing in breastfeeding, investing in the future.
Yes.
I mean, nothing is more apt in this regard. When you look at the fact that there must be some substantial investment in this regard.
Yes.
And then, of course, you must understand that there's a nexus between these newborns and the future. In fact, they are the future.
Yes, they are.
All right. So, to that extent, you realize that there's so much we have not been talking about.
Yes.
Of course, we also need to maybe use this opportunity in the course of the conversation to talk about what exactly baby-friendly means. I mean, that term has been a while now, but it's a lifelong concept.
It is.
And our subject matter expert this morning will, Jumai will engage her, and she will help us shed light on all of this.
And you know, talking about breastfeeding, investing in all of that, and you just want to, there's some women who they really want to breastfeed their newborn at the first, when their child is born, but they do not lactate, as in when there is no milk protruding out of the breast.
And that's a constraint for them.
It is. It's very heartbreaking, and they have to resort to baby friendly when it comes to formula and the rest. So we're going to talk about how you can still, maybe if you're not lactating at that particular time.
What are your alternatives?
Exactly. And then when can you immediately kickstart? Can you drop the baby food and then continue once you start lactating? And well, we really need to know. It's very important that we understand what this is all about, and the myth around for those that breastfeed and they try to get pregnant and all of that, it's like a concept, right? Yes, exactly. So we just need to know all of these things. It's very important that we understand, and the woman who is involved in all of this, not just the child, the woman too, the mother. You need to understand that she needs to be well taken care of, has to have the mind. It's not easy. It's something that is overwhelming. It's tiring. You have to, at that point, it's just the child gives the say when it comes to this issue, tells you when he wants to eat or when she wants to eat. Even when you're tired, exhausted, you just have to get up and do the needful.
Well, motherhood is a blessing now, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
If you still don't know that, you want to talk to Jumai about it after the show.
Really? Okay.
Right. So we'll take a quick break, everyone. It's quite a loaded show this morning. The rest of the program continues shortly. Do stay with us.
All right, you're welcome back. And if you're just tuning in, this is Global Morning. We've had quite an amazing topic this morning, but at about this point is the newspaper review segment. And we'll start with the first paper of the day, and it is the Vanguard. Now, above the nameplate of the Vanguard, it says, Ojilare's alleged exit, presidency, NNPCL silence heightens confusion, and that is on page 10. Now, beside that, it says, Obi to Soludo, my one-term 4-year vow sacrosanct, and that is on page 8. We're not borrowing for 712.3 billion naira Lagos Airport project, and that's from the Aviation Minister Keyamo. You can find that on page 9. Now, below the nameplate of the Vanguard, it says silent killer, soaring drug costs, ignorance fueling hypertension deaths. And then, of course, we have 4 riders. It says over 41 million Nigerians at risk as hypertension cases surge. Am I surprised? A lot is going on. And the next says patients forced into deadly drug holiday as treatment becomes unaffordable. And the next says experts warn of national emergency as sudden deaths spike nationwide. And here from the federal government, it says we are addressing the problem. Please do that ASAP. It's very important. Hypertension, when you do not get enough rest, the stress of work, thinking about a lot of things. You know, when you do not get enough sleep can cause a high rise of hypertension. And for pregnant women who about to give birth and all of that, and you're not resting, you're apprehensive, can lead to high blood pressure. So we need to check it on a daily. Please let us calm down. Things might not be working accordingly, but like we all know, things will get better. It's just one day at a time. One day at a time. In the Pigeon Palace, trouble no they finish, right? So at the same
Wahala no they finish.
Wahala no they finish. So let's just take a breather, take a deep breath, and know that everything will be fine. Because being hypertensive, believe me, it's not something that you wish upon anyone. If it's not well taken care of, you're not taking your right medications, it could lead to sudden death. It could lead to stroke. Do you know that? It could lead to you being paralyzed.
Like the last straw that breaks the camel.
Exactly. So please, it's very important that you take things easy. Everything might not be going according to how you want it to, but it's not worth you not losing sleep. Even when I know thinking about some issues can make you lose sleep, but force yourself, please, because hypertension is not just it. So this is scary. It's a very scary report. And now below all of that, it says no zone in North marginalized by Tinubu, and that's from Kaduna Governor. And that you can find on page 30. Unprecedented windfall, stock investors gain 25.7 trillion naira in 7 months. And that reads on page 25. And then it says here, domestic investors eclipse foreign counterparts. And here it says experts call for caution as price correction loan. Like I mentioned before, it's on page 25. And below that, it says killings. Benue leader seeks EU, UK, US intervention. This is alarming, and you will find that read on page 30 to find out what this is all about.
Looks like government is overwhelmed.
Government is overwhelmed, and you know the killings in Benue, it's purely a massacre from what has happened in Yelwata and all of that. And we just pray that the needful is done, so it doesn't turn into another terrorism.
Just when you think, Joe, that the whole thing, I mean, there's de-escalation of some kind.
Exactly.
And the next thing you know is things begin to rev up all again, and then, I mean, the whole thing is getting worse.
It's getting worse, and then the scariest part is Benue leaders announced seeking the intervention of a European Union, United States of America, and United Kingdom. So you see, it shows that it's out of their hands now. It is becoming terrorist inclined.
This is a chance to also highlight some concerns. We may not all live in Benue. You know, as somebody once said, if we allow certain things to go on in certain places, even though we may not be immediately impacted, it's a matter of time. You may not be affected. People you care about may be affected, and things.
Very
like
true.
The fact of the matter is, the governor was called all of this. He called it skirmishes. These are not skirmishes. These are serious terrorist issues.
Yes, they are.
If they are skirmishes, you won't be needing the help of foreign powers.
Exactly.
In the EU and the United States.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
There has to be a serious purpose. It's just sad that politicians want to be politically correct about everything, but we must realize that life is sacrosanct.
Yes, it is. You just hit the nail on the head. So I think the needful should be done. This is a very serious matter. That was how we started. That was how Boko Haram started. We said, oh, please, it's a northern state. It doesn't concern me in Lagos. It's the Hausa, the northern. Yes, I have no, what's my business? After all,
it's a national issue.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You will find out that there are lots of places, even in Ibadan, you'll be surprised, in Lagos, in fact, all over the states, you see unrest, and it's just unfortunate that we need to nip this in the bud as soon as possible before it escalates into something that is more than us. So we pray that will be well taken care of. And on page 10, and remember, I am still on the Vanguard newspaper, and it says here, Afenifere to Southwest governors, leverage on UN recognition to equip Ametoko. And that is on page 10. And of course, on the Vanguard, I really love all this Mr. and Mrs. character. But you know what? You have to go get yourself a copy of the Vanguard to be well abreast. And here, below that, the sports story says, victory lap, the Tigress beat Mali 7-8-6-4 to win 5th Afro Basket women title in Ivory Coast yesterday. And of course, Nigeria are making us proud at this point. But just go out and get
back to back. First, it was the Super Falcons.
And let's not forget, there's something. I heard Super Falcons.
Please. I know
say something.
Can we not just move on to the next?
No, we cannot. You have to say. It's very important. When you say Super Falcons, who are the gender?
Making us proud.
Say it no louder, please.
Women making us proud for real. Putting Nigeria and indeed Africa on the map for the right reasons. This is inspiring. I hope young girls will take a cue from this and push themselves in every legitimate field.
Very important. And I like the fact that we mentioned that women.
Big fan here.
Yes, you are. Women making us proud, showing that we've got what it takes to actually, that edge. We got it. You can't take it away from us. Not our fault, but we got it.
If you're big, you're big.
Oh my God! What is this hype now? Let's move to the next paper, please.
We turn to the next paper for everyone. Away from the Vanguard newspaper, we turn to Nigerian News Direct. Let's look at the one above the nameplate real quick. On the front page of the Nigerian News Direct, it says motorists stranded homes, vehicles submerged as Lagos residents scoop floodwaters with buckets. That's how bad it got. Right here tells us major highways overtaken by flood as over 10-hour rainfall paralyzes movements. You can only imagine that. It's better imagined than experienced. And at the star headline, the Nigerian News Direct says Nigerians are watching. You can't be running from pillar to post. Wike blasts Atiku. Says 2027 PDP ticket already out of reach for ex-VP. Of course, the man has moved to coalition. All right. Mark's ADC coalition calls it refuge for desperate political nomads. And then a bit further down, Tinubu rewards the Tigress with $100,000 houses national honors for Afro Basket victory. Osun local government allocation. You are wasting your time reporting to diplomatic community, global rights groups. That's APC there. Federal governments of Nigeria savings bonds open for subscription with rates up to 15.401%. That's a headline which has details on page 6 of the Nigerian News Direct, is credited to the Debt Management Office, DMO. Finally, 2025 WASI, that's the West African School Senior School Certificate Examination. It raised WIC withholds 192,000 results over malpractice. That's alarming. 192,000 for the same reason, alleged malpractice. But let's see, when things like this happen, the drill, the standard of operating procedure is always that the authorities, as the examination body, will continue to do investigation to filter, double check, triple check where necessary to see of all these 192,000 candidates who exactly were culpable in exam malpractice, and then go ahead to see those who probably fell in the brackets accidentally, exonerate them and release their results to them. But again, this number is quite alarming.
Yes, it is.
To say the least.
Yes,
Well, let's
it
flip to the first daily now. Juma has those headlines for us.
All right, now we are quickly going to, but before we move to the first daily here, I have
a few other papers above.
Yes,
right?
above that, I have the Daily Trust,
Right.
and it says here, below the nameplate of the Daily Trust, it says again, Tinubu rewards athletes with 150 million naira each national honors. And that read you will find on page 38 of the Daily Trust. Now it says, residents, motorists stranded as flood hits Lagos. This is alarming. Like I mentioned before, we need to have precautionary measures.
Right.
Even if we cannot curb it out, we should have something to actually prepare us for issues like this.
Right.
And it says ex-soldiers protest over unpaid entitlements, and that is quite a shame because these are individuals who have paid the price of securing lives and property. So please, the needful should be done, and that you will find on page 7. Now the Star story reads, WAEC records worst results in 5 years, and the writer says parents, others blame CBT for poor performance, and I think I am in support of that. I think we need to do an upgrade when it comes to CBT centers,
Right.
when it comes to network, when it comes to all of that. You know, when it was manual,
Right.
and wasn't when it was manual, I think it was smooth sail than what we see now. Yes, because compared, I think there should be a backup, because you cannot predict data, you cannot predict the internet, you cannot predict all of these things. I think they should have a backup, because we will continue to have issues like this on the data. For as much as we want to involve, I think we've not gotten to that part yet in Nigeria. We do not know how to balance it up when it comes to being an internet savvy, or bringing all of this digitalization into play. I think we have a lot of work to do when it comes to issues like that, because at the long run, it's the children that actually suffers and pays this price. They are the ones that are drawn back from gaining admission and the start of going back to enroll, all of that. And it's just unfortunate that I think we've not gotten to that part yet of taking a deep breath and saying that it's all good when it comes to CBT centers. I think we need a lot to do in that arena. We've not done justice at all, because we keep going back and forth with this issue, and it's tiring, it's frustrating, and at the same time, it's really annoying. Like, that's the truth. It's really annoying.
Like they say, Juma, if something is going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong. And this is purely tech,
Yes.
for instance. You see, while the idea in itself, at least in theory, in principle, is laudable.
Yes, it is.
The question is, how much are we investing in it, in terms of funding, in terms of getting the right equipment?
Are we ready, really?
How much of preparation do we put into every exam cycle? We can't bring mediocrity to something that requires 100% excellence.
Yes. And at the same time, I completely agree. This is taking examination in Nigeria to a whole new level.
Right.
Like when I mentioned tech savvy, we're evolving like other nations do. There are some nations that have gone past this struggle. They are far ahead this struggle. But at the same time, I think we need to go back to the drawing board. We have a lot to do to be sure, like you mentioned, how prepared are we? Do we have what it takes? Do we have a backup?
Yeah.
We need a backup, because, well, I'm sure those in authority are listening, and I think they should go back to the drawing board, because we keep
run the clock to find lasting solutions.
It's very important, because we keep getting worse results. We keep getting individuals who are not satisfied, parents who are angry. And remember, it's not cheap. A lot of resources are going into this. We go back and forth in all of this. I don't think it's fair on the parents with what is happening in Nigeria at the moment. Individuals are finding it hard to even eat 3 square meals a day, and then you've paid for an exam.
Basics of life.
Exactly. And an examination that you're supposed to write and forget about it. Now you have to go back, receipt, all of those those annoying process, going back and forth. It's not easy. So please, let us just do the needful. For as much as we want to be tech savvy, as much as we want to be ahead like other countries, let's do the needful when it comes to preparing for these examinations, and a backup plan.
Right.
A backup plan is very important. All right, let's not linger so much on that now. And it says here below all of that, bandits raid Zamfara villages, abduct 24. And that's quite unfortunate. Now, below that, it says here, day-old baby stolen from Ekiti Hospital. Are you kidding me? And that you will find on page 21. Troops kill 17 Boko Haram terrorists in Borno. And that's on page 10. Ojulare surfaces at public function. And that is on page 8. And please go out and pick a copy of the Daily Trust to be well abreast with issues making round. Next, over to you.
Let's see what we have for you from the Nation newspaper this morning. Above the name mast, top left corner of it, African leaders shift focus to healthcare on the Nation newspaper. The writer says party leads Nigeria's team as the Minister of Health and Social Development, Professor Ali Mohammed Party there. Then we have one with a picture of the Inspector General of Police on the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning. Kayode Egbetoko. It says women's rights group decries Showore's attacks on police women. 38% of SSC candidates makes 5 credits, including maths, English. Okay, INEC early 2027 campaign violates electoral law. Of course, that's a no-brainer. But what's going to happen to those who have if you like, committed this violation? 22 die in Niger Road accident. Those very disturbing details are on page 6. Niger State, by the way, is just in our backyard, in the manner of speaking. Let's go to the star headline now. PDP heads for another crisis over Congresses. And then one writer tells us Atiku left PDP in frustration, says Wike. The other writer says Damagum Anyanwu orders to vacate office December 8. We understand is around that time the party would hold its congresses. Then 2 more headlines before we're done with the Nation newspaper this morning. Tinubu splashes $100,000 flats OON on Victoria's national basketball team, the Tigress. Then we have one last one on the foot of the front page of the Nation newspaper. Ladoja named 44th Olubadan designate. Then Wike threatens to seal off rents defaulters' houses. We understand you have close to 4,800 of them in this city. Then there's one here we should also look at. It says Lagos declares Adron, Lekki County, Anchor, 173 other estates illegal. These are all in Lagos State, of course. There has to be strict regulatory frameworks around real estate, especially in a place like Lagos State. All right, grab a copy of the Nation newspaper, read up these details for yourself as Jumai takes us through headlines now on the front page of the Guardian newspaper.
All right, now the Guardian newspaper, and below the nameplate it says 2027 Southwest PDP kicks as Wike backs Tinubu gives fresh conditions for peace. And that you will find on page 3. And of course, the FCT minister there, another person than Yesom Wike. And next, it says on page 3, petrol soars to 955 naira per litre as NNPCL marketers hike prices. Now, we're going back and forth on this issue, but we hope we'll find succor soon. And that's the next is a picture of the former Kaduna State governor, ex-governor Nasir El-Rufai, and on page 3 it says APC alleges El-Rufai Atiku constitute threat to Nigeria's peace unity, and that's a big problem. Now it says here on page 6, desperation heightens as 2027 campaign begins 15 months ahead. And we have a picture of our dear President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, former Vice President, of course, and of course he's an aspirant for the presidency, Atiku Abubakar. We have Peter Obi, we have Kwakwaso, and we have Mahmoud Yakubu here. And below that it says Aso Rock, White House reaffirmed trade ties despite tariff concerns, and that's on page 3. And Nigerians oil output hits 1.78 BPD in July, reduces high $5.3 billion revenue shortfall. And of course a picture of Kashim Shetima, and we will. You have to go get yourself a copy. But below that it says Tinubu rewards the Tigress. I love this part. Tinubu rewards the Tigress. This part.
It rewards them.
Yes. With national honors and $100,000 each. Wow, I think I want to start playing football now. Obedience Right OB complain of exclusion in coalition moves, and that you will find on page 7. All right, now please go out and get a copy of the Guardian newspaper and be well abreast with these major news headlines making rounds, so you can be abreast with the current situation in the country. And next is the Punch newspaper. Now over to you, Uyi.
All right. The Punch has a star headline with a kicker here that says countdown to 2027. Ghana, Baraje, McAfee in tight race for PDP chair. NEC divided over Damagone's fate. Wike plots counter move as PDP convention drama unfolds. Of course, we're looking at all of this from the Punch newspaper this morning. And then I just said the nameplate of the Punch newspaper says arrears crisis, protesting ex-soldiers pressure federal government with Friday deadline. Then above the name mast, 2 headlines as well. One here has a picture of Kwara State Governor Abdul Razak. States versus discos, power cuts begin over tariff umpires. States defiant vow to dismantle discos grip and amid Enugu blackouts. Then Minister of Power has this picture here against a very topical headline. Adebayo Adelabu. It reads, Afrexim Bank leads $4 billion refinancing loan for Dangote refinery. All of those are headlines you want to look at. Read details for yourself. But we have 4 more other headlines. Another one here tells us Tinubu gives the Tigress $100,000 each, flats OON. Of course, as expected, this story is on virtually every paper today, as it should be. FAC to recover 101 billion naira from customs after audit report. $160 million fraud. Vietnamese police arrest 2 Nigerians, 5 accomplices. Then Olubadan, Ladoja awaits Makinde's nod after cancel nomination. We understand the former governor for your state, Ladoja, is now the Olubadan designate. However, that will have to be signed off on, so to speak, by the governor of the state. Talking about Sheyi Makinde. Find those details when you look at the Punch newspaper today. But we'll now turn to the sister paper, Punch Sports Extra.
All right, now Punch Sports Extra, and it says here above the nameplate, Lookman skips training to force Atalanta exits. Now Wakama eyes endless rain with D Tigress. Now Leicester Besiktas agree Ndidi deal. Nigeria versus Senegal, Eagles B face champions in opener. Now below the name, beside the nameplate, it says Rashford bags first Barker goal. And beside that also it says Dessa to lead Rangers attack in UCL test. Now below that it says Isak returns to Newcastle training. And here United ponder Vinicius move. And the star story says African Queens. I love that headline. It's amazing.
With an exclamation mark.
I like that. That is beautiful. And it says the Tigers Falcons road to continental glory. Tinubu slashes $100,000 each. Houses on women's basketball team. Now it pays to play sports. And now it says here it says Portugal want to win World Cup for Jota, and that's for Neves. And it says here Commonwealth champion Oyewekere eyes world champs podium, and that's on page 2. 25 players depart Bendel Insurance, and that's on page 6. And next, the Daily Times. Over to you now, Uli.
All right, the Daily Times is where we turn to, and just a handful of headlines, quite frankly. One about the nameplate with a picture of the President, Bola Tinubu. It says, the Tigress, again, Tinubu celebrates champions with awards, rewards. Of course, you need to know what the difference is between awards and rewards, all right? Well, that only happens with these champions. As 2027, Umahi asks Southeast to forget presidential ambition. You find perspectives and context on page 2 of the Daily Times newspaper this morning. Then here it says 2025 WASI results. Up to 38.3% candidates pass 5 subjects, as according to WAEC. Metal companies risk prosecution over purchase of stolen rail components. Of course, where it is established that there's a particular company that is in the business of purchasing or receiving stolen components from rail in particular, then the law should take its course. These are public interest issues, no doubt. 2027, stop deceiving Tinubu on imaginary 2.5 million votes. Aikbitai tells Okbebulu, this is coming all the way from the South Edo State precisely. Wike sets deadlines for developers. What else? Vows revocation of underdeveloped lands. So it will appear it's going to be a case of rat race now, with landowners rushing to develop.
Very true.
Just to avert any possibility of revocation. All right, Juma will take us through the next paper now, the Nigerian Tribune.
All right, now the Nigerian Tribune, and above the nameplate of the Nigerian Tribune, it says, Channel FAAC windfall into food security, human capital development experts tell federal government, states, and the writer says urge them to privatize healthcare education, and that's on page 6. Olubadan in council endorses Ladoja as 44th Olubadan of Ibadan land, and that read you will find on page 3. Now below the nameplate, which is the star story, it says crisis in PDP over for now. That's from Wike, that's the FCT minister. And there are 3 riders. It says restates his support for Tinubu, says his predecessor revoked Unilag land. And then on this rider there, it says disregard Wike's comments on parties' affairs. PDP professionals urge members. And then the last rider reads, insist decision on South-South, South-East Congresses stands. And beside the nameplate now, it says armed men on motorbikes kill 11, kidnap 70 in Zamfara. And that's on page 5. That's very scary now. And the picture story that says, like Falcons, Tinubu rewards the Tigers with $100,000 national honors, and that is, you will find that read on page 8 of the Nigerian Tribune. And besides that, it says Lagos residents cry out as flood sacks communities. That's on page 5. Women's rights group decries attack on female police officers, and that's on page 3. Now below all of that, the health segment now, it says world's first gonorrhea vaccination program to be rolled out in England, and that's on page 4. And it says plot against Ojulari to undermine NNPCL reforms, and that's from the CCDI. YX result, 38.32% obtained credit in 5 subjects including maths and English. And it says results of 1,902.089 candidates withheld. And it says here Ekiti 2026, Oyibanji at APC Secretariat formally declares intention to run for 2nd term. And that you will find on page 16. Now that is all the news making rounds in the Nigerian Tribune. Please go out and get yourself a copy and be well abreast. Next is the Daily Courier. Over to you, Lee.
Let's turn to the Daily Courier now before we hit a break in the middle of this newspaper review segment. One here says customs intercept 1,620 birds bound for Kuwait. 2025 Wasi Shaka, only 38.32% pass with credits in English and maths. That's coming from the Daily Courier newspaper this morning. There are two riders to that story on the front page of the Daily Courier. Girls make up 53.99% of those who passed with credit in English and mathematics. 192,089 results withheld, a decline from 11.92% in 2024 to 9.75% in 2025. El Rufai, poster boy of bad governance, APC fires back over attacks on Tinubu. Nigeria better agree on trade framework to deepen regional integration. Ex-soldiers protests. Federal government faces Friday deadline over arrears crisis. Israel court halts government firing of Attorney General investigating Netanyahu. Afrobasket 2025, Tinubu rewards the Tigress with $100,000 flats. Quite a replication of that story this morning. But at this point, we will take a quick break. Everyone, when we return, we'll have a few more papers to look at for you and bring you those big headlines this morning on the program. Do stay with us.
All right, you are welcome back, and it's Global Morning, and still the newspaper review segment. At about this time now, we're moving straight to the Standard Times. Now, above the nameplate of the Standard Times, it reads, BVN-linked accounts raised to 66 million. And here below the nameplate, it says Nigerian crude oil production hits 1.8 MBPD, surpasses OPEC quota. And below all of that, it says Cornerstone Insurance announces 49% revenue growth in 2024. Labour Party fault INEC over exclusion from August 16 AMAC by-elections, and that's on page 3. Now again, 114 persons adopted in Zamfara community, that's on page 4. And it says tension as newborn baby disappears from Ekiti hospital. That's still on page 4. NUPRC and MPC push for sustainable energy future. That's on page 13. And it says here, Ogun, PDP backs Tinubu's second term bid, and that you will find on page 2. Now, at the foot of the Standard Times, it says El-Rufai plotting to impose Atiku as ADC presidential candidate, and that's from the All Progressive Congress, and you will find that read on page 2. Now, let's flip over to the first daily.
All right. First daily for you here. It says, I just sent the nameplate. Olubado in Council names Ladoja as 44th Olubado of Ibadan land. That's a landmark. Now, WAEC 2025, how to check your WASE results step by step. NNPC raises petrol price to 915 naira in Lagos, 955 naira in Abuja. So there's a 40 naira difference between what you buy at in Lagos and the price in Abuja. What's more, ex-soldiers storm Abuja protests over unpaid entitlements. Then the big one, Tinubu splashes $100,000 on each D-Tigers player after historic win. Right-hand side of the paper, front page has 2 headlines as well. Flood disaster, Lagos residents cry out as EJD submerged. Wike cries out, pray for me as Abuja bigwigs shun taxes. Sounds like a real battle now. Students who skip classes risk visa ban. That's the U.S. warning. This warning came during last week. The U.S. has threatened visa ban. It has also threatened that for those who may even remain in the country, they may be asked to withdraw from the program that brought them to the U.S. in the first instance. Well, those details are on the first daily. You can look them up for yourself, but let's allow Jumai take us through the daily monitor.
All right, let's monitor the news making rounds. Did you hear that?
Well, that actually was spot on.
Yes, it was. I'm learning from the best. All right, now the Daily Monitor. Above the nameplate, it says Tinubu gives the Tigers players $100,000 flats, and we've seen that on basically all the papers this morning, which is amazing. Now, below the nameplate, it says here, become job creators, not seekers. Federal government urges Nigerian youths, and that you will find on page 4. Now, houses, vehicles submerged in Lagos communities after marathon rainfall. And retired soldiers protest over unpaid entitlements, and that is on page 4. Now, WAEC releases 2025 WAEC result, withholds 1,902,000 over malpractices, and that you will find on page 2. Now, the Star story reads, Tinubu's policies have wiped out Nigerians' middle class, and that's from Falana. And the rider reads, urges FG to reconsider policies influenced by international financial institutions. And below that, it says LG allocations, PDP, APC bicker over petition to diplomatic community rights groups. And basically that is it on the Daily Monitor. Go out and pick yourself a copy and monitor all the news making rounds, or like the headlines making rounds. Right. Next is the leadership paper.
Okay, above, well, let's leave the one above the name mast and look at the ones just immediately below it. Nigeria's oil production surpassed 1.8 million barrels per day in July. That's according to the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, all right, NUPRC. WASE 2025 results, candidates perform poorly in English, maths. As continuous voter registration begins August 18, parties vow to mobilize citizens. CSOs demand more centers. Process must be credible, inclusive, efficient. Yaga Africa show up early to avoid, pressure on staff, facilities, and tells Nigerians. Tinubu rewards D-Tigers with OON $100,000 flat each. No government can solve all problems, even in 20 years. Wike. Unpaid entitlements, finance officials meet protesting ex-soldiers. Enugu residents suffer blackouts over tariff slash. And Lagos declares 176 estates illegal, gives 21-day ultimatum. I mean, that is quite drastic. 176 estates. So imagine how many blocks or how many houses, and then how many households you have in each of those estates, and you have 117 of them. Some of them prestigious elite estates, as we know them. And now Lagos says we're giving you 3 weeks, 21 days to do the right thing.
No comment.
Well, it's we can only say may this end in the best way possible. Otherwise, it's going to be,
yes,
I mean, disastrous.
Yes, very true.
Yeah. But then let's look at the last one for you. The last headline. It says 4 in police net over thefts of year-old baby at Ekiti Primary Health Center.
That's very sad.
Okay, good thing is we believe the baby is alive. So now it's about the crime of stealing the old stealing the old baby. But let's look at the very last paper today, the Daily Independent.
All right, now the Daily Independent, and it says here above the nameplate, it says Afribank leads $4 billion refinancing deal for Dangote refinery, and next it says El-Rufai Atiku on mission to end rotational presidency, and that's from APC, and the writer says there are threats to unity, peace, progress of Nigerians, and below the nameplate it says 712 billion naira outrageous for airport renovation. That's from aviation experts. And the three writers says ask LG to concession airports or engage in PPP. MMIA full renovation most expensive in the world, and it says clear sign of government wickedness to the people, and that's from the Labour Party. Now below that it says Tinubu rewards the Tigers with $100,000 each, national honors, and of course houses. That you will find on page 7. Now Obi will defeat any candidate in the north, and that's from Jerry Ghana, and that you will find on page 9. Wike slams Atiku over serial party defections, and that you will find on page 6. Olubadan in council nominates Ladoja as 44th Olubadan, and that's on page 6 also. Now below all of that it says Nigerians bank shun loans to businesses, deepening SME credit drought. Now below the foot of the Daily Independent, it says U.S. to revoke student visas for those who skip classes, and that you will find on page 6. Now this is the end of the newspaper review segment. Please go out and get yourself a copy to be well abreast on the issues, headlines, stories making round. At about this point, all editorial judgments of these papers are basically from the various newspapers, not Global Television has nothing to do with the editorial judgments of these newspapers. And please go out and get yourself a copy, like I mentioned before. And let's quickly go on another segment, the weather. Let's see what the weather is talking about today, so you know how well you can dress, what you can put on, and know the timing to go out on the weather forecast. And then next, we'll hear what the internet is saying when it comes to social buzz with Ogochukwu Mobono. And then next, the first discuss of the day. Stay with us. It's Global Television on Global Morning. Stay tuned.
your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
The Global Morning crew, and good morning to you, my viewers. I am Obachkumogno. So today we're looking at what's sporting on the internet. The Niger State government threatened to shut down a radio station in Mina. The Nigerian Union of Journalists has condemned the Niger State government for threatening to shut down Badegi FM 90.1 intermediate station's premises. The radio station based in Mina is privately owned and has been under pressure following reported moves by the administration of Governor Umaru Bago. In a statement signed by the NUJ National President Alhassan Abdullahi, the union described the alleged action as a blatant act of intimidation and an assault on press freedom. The threat issued against Badegi FM 90.1 by the Niger State government are deeply troubling and represent a dangerous overreach of executive power. Such action undermines democracy and send a chilling message to independent media organizations, he said. The NUJ reminded the state governments that the National Broadcasting Commission remains the only legally empowered authority to regulate, license, or sanction broadcast stations in Nigeria. No state government has the constitutional right to interfere with the operations or facilities of any media house. It is the responsibility of the NBC to investigate any allegations of wrongdoing by broadcast station and to take appropriate actions through due process. The NUJ president said, according to the union, freedom of the press is enshrined in the Constitution and is essential to the survival of democratic governance. Independent journalism must never stifle through threats, intimidation, or politically motivated directives. We are calling on Governor Barbour to withdraw the threat of closure and demolition immediately and allow the proper legal channels to address any issues. Abdullahi stressed that the NUJ also urged civil society groups, professional associations, and the general public to resist any form of executive high-handedness that undermines press freedom. We will not stand by and watch as journalists and media institutions are harassed for doing their job, Abdullahi concluded. Well, we're looking at a short video of the closure of the FM Badegi Radio House 90.1 FM, and that's the short video. Let's look at this short. So that's the video, the closure of Badegi Radio and 90.1 FM in Mina, and most journalists are saying that it is social media as regards this topic. And the first comment is coming from Temitokbe, and Temitokbe says, I don't think the governor have the right under the law to seal a radio station or stopping it from airing. Even if it has the right to steal the building, he must produce the building law code or environmental law that they broke the will necessitate such closure of building. With that, I believe that unless empowered by an act of the state, as standing is akin to stifling and an abuse of the tenets of constitutional democracy. So that's the interplay. And the next comment is coming from Uja Samuel, and Uja says, Nigeria belongs to Nigerians. No politician is more Nigerian than the rest of us. Until we begin to fight back united, there may never be a real chance for the true change. The last but not the least comment is coming from First Son of Joshua, and First Son of Joshua says, he left the insecurity problem and decided to seal off the building of the radio station that reported it. Welcome to Nigeria. Welcome to Nigeria indeed. So the cause of the whole sealing of this property was because of a report, an insecurity report, from the station, and the governor just feels like, okay, I can seal it for any reason. Press freedom has always been talked about in the country, and this is one again. I think the government needs to go through the right channels, just like the National Union of Journalists have come out to say, to go through the right channels and make sure that their complaints are being laid in the right channels, and every other thing will be taken up from that channel particularly, but not the government taking up this, the responsibility of shutting down the radio station. I know you are itching to drop your comments, so please drop them using the handle you're seeing right now on your screen. Make use of the social media handle, especially our YouTube when you're watching right now, and drop their comments. We'll be picking your comments as we go further. And I'll be leaving you in the hands of the Global Morning crew as they continue with Global Morning. I am Ogochukwu. Do stay with us.
All right, you're welcome to Global Morning, and of course, thank you so much, Ogochukwu Mobono, for that brief on social media buzz. Now, of course, throughout this week is Breastfeeding Week, like we and I mentioned, and Breastfeeding Week 2025 focuses on driving nutritional investment in mothers. Now, the theme highlights the crucial role of the adequate maternal nutrition in successful breastfeeding and subsequently optimal infant health. It emphasizes the need for policies and support systems that provide mothers with the resources they need to breastfeed effectively, including access to nutritious foods, healthcare, and supportive environment. Now, the week aims to raise awareness about the importance of maternal nutrition, advocate for increased investment in maternal health, and promote breastfeeding as a cornerstone of infant and maternal well-being. Today, I am being joined by a very good friend of mine. She is Dr. Love Okafor. She's a consultant, obstetrician, and of course a gynecologist at the Limi Hospital's Abuja Central area. Thank you so much for being a part of the program.
Thank you.
Dr. Okafor. Now, talking about this particular theme. Now, what is the primary purpose of breastfeeding? Why should we breastfeed? Again?
Breastfeeding is the purpose of breastfeeding cannot be overemphasized. It's a total nutritional package,
okay,
for the baby, and of course definitely has its benefits for the mother. So it's something as a gynecologist and obstetrician, we encourage women to go into breastfeeding fully, especially for the benefits of the nutrition for the baby. A healthy baby and a happy mother and family is the ultimate for every mother. So that is what we wish that every mother would imbibe and embrace. Breastfeeding is very, very important. It has everything in it that the baby needs.
Really?
For the first 6 months.
Oh.
Yes, including water. There's water in it. So go on for exclusively breastfeeding your child for the first 6 months. You don't need to add any other thing. It's
really?
all encompassing. Yeah, very.
So for mothers that want to go overboard, I want to breastfeed for as long as 1 year, some 2 years, which I wonder how they cope with that. But how effective is that? Will it develop the brain of the child more, or you just want to breastfeed for 2 years?
No, it has a lot. It prevents childhood illnesses.
Really?
Yes, including diarrhea diseases. It prevents asthma, even allergies.
Wow.
Has so many benefits. So we encourage women to breastfeed exclusively for 6 months and extend it to as much as 2 years and even beyond if you can. Yes.
Okay.
Are you surprised?
Exactly.
Very possible.
Okay, 2 years, 3 years. Really?
Yeah.
Now, of course, you mentioned the benefits when it has to do with the children, prevents diarrhea and all of these diseases around. So what's the benefit for the mother? She's giving so much. What's her benefit?
The breastfeeding helps the mother to bond with the child.
Oh.
This thing they say a mother can tell her child better. It starts from breastfeeding. You bond. In fact, we encourage the mother to start breastfeeding as early as within 30 minutes of childbirth. Not only the bonding, it also helps the womb to contract, to get back to the normal shape and go back to the sweet 16 that you are.
Really?
Yes.
Women, are you listening?
It also helps to prevent excessive blood loss after delivery.
Oh.
Yeah, breastfeeding releases, when a baby suckles on the breast, it releases this hormone we call oxytocin, which helps the womb to hold itself together. And, by doing that, the mother does not lose so much blood after delivery. So that's why we encourage breastfeeding, especially on the side of the mother. Very beneficial. Your womb goes back to normal, and you don't lose so much blood after delivery.
Really?
Yeah.
But for mothers who, I've seen some mothers who tell you, oh my goodness, she just gave birth and she cannot lactate, and then she has to bring in formula. Does it affect the child in any way? Or when she starts lactating, she can continue, stop the baby food and all of that and continue, and everything still goes back to normal?
Okay, I will use an example with a woman that delivers by cesarean section.
Okay.
Okay, you can agree with me. The woman may not have enough strength. She's maybe still in a little bit of pain and cannot put the baby at breast immediately. What do we do? Do we starve the baby? No. We use the formula, to keep the baby going until the mother can put the child to breast. And when she is ready for that, she can now drop the formula and go back to exclusive breastfeeding. That still counts for exclusive breastfeeding. So we don't allow the child to starve because, do you understand?
Yes.
Because the mother cannot, initiate breastfeeding immediately. So we use the formula to keep the baby going until the mother can, start breastfeeding on her own.
And it doesn't affect the baby in any way?
No, it doesn't. It's just for a few hours. Okay, or maybe a few days. Like if it's a first-time mom. Most time myself, my breast milk started flowing on the second day of delivery.
Really?
Yeah. So once my breast milk started flowing, I put my baby to breast immediately, and we continued. And it was still an exclusive breastfeeding, and I did that for complete 6 months.
Really?
Yeah.
How about some kids who do not like breast milk? There are some that will. I know a lot would at 4 months they're done. They want the formula or all of that. Is there any health hazards attached to all of that?
No, there isn't any health hazard attached to. You wouldn't allow a child to starve because he's not latching.
Exactly.
For some reason, maybe the mother has some disease like mastitis or breast abscess, whereby a child is suckling the breast and it's not tasting very well. You understand? So with that, you can't allow your child to starve. You get to the hospital, get yourself treated, and then you can go back. But peradventure, you can't go back to breastfeeding. Of course, you continue with the formula. The formulas are good in itself. We are not ruling them out completely, but breastfeeding is the best.
Strictly breastfeeding.
Strictly breastfeeding for the first 3 months. But there are situations where a woman cannot breastfeed, then we make do with the formula.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now for women out there who want to balance the two, because some will say the breast milk doesn't actually fill up the child. So even if you breastfeed, you still you need a support system like the formula to help keep the baby full. Is it right, or is just a myth?
It's not a myth. Of course, I've seen women coming back 1 week after delivery, 2 weeks after delivery to say, "Doctor, this child eats too much. He just continues to cry and cry and cry. What do I do?" Do you understand? But I would like to address it this way. Some women, they are not patient with the child to breastfeed on their own, to suckle on the breast. It's work to suckle on the breast. If you notice, when a child is suckling, you see some sweating on the face. It's energy. Remember, the cheek will continue to do like it's work on the child. So some women, they are in a hurry to let the child get filled up and then go back to doing something. That's why we give maternity leave. It's full-time job to breastfeed.
Oh, that's the reason behind maternity leave.
Yes.
Okay.
You want to dedicate that time to
the child.
Don't use it for another thing. It's for the child.
A woman has a
so
lot
you
going.
Be patient. Position yourself. There are ways you sit. Bring the baby to the breast. Don't hunch your back to. When you do it the wrong way, you get tired. You have body pains, and you just say, "I beg, give me that formula. Let me give the child." Yeah. But if you're patient and understand how to breastfeed, the right positioning, the way you should sit, how you position the baby, you will see that. First, breastfeeding was the best part of my, the time.
It's so easy.
Yes. Especially when you're at home, you don't have to bother yourself about anything.
Boiling the water, doing all of that.
You don't have to. It's easy. And, I thank God. I don't know how he does it. It's in the right temperature. You don't need to warm it up. You don't need, do you understand? It's just the right way the baby wants it. So that is what you do, and you can, be patient with the child. Make yourself comfortable when you are breastfeeding. And I can tell you, it will be enough for the child. But when you don't do it the right way, you're tired, your body is not smiling at all, and you find an easy way out by supplementing with other feed. Of course, there are other things again. If a woman is not properly fed, have you tasted the breast milk before? I will encourage some people, women, taste the breast. It has a taste. It's just like food. When I serve you good meal, you will know. If you serve the one that is not good, it's same thing. So for you to also serve the baby a rich breast milk, you have to eat very well yourself. Feed well. The breast milk get quality. Yes, is what you take that you give out. Okay, if you don't eat well, your own does not taste well. Children, they know what is good.
They do.
They do. So when it's not tasting well, sometimes they will fight
I don't want it.
Yeah, and you know, especially when they have tasted that supplementary feed, and you will, I see them refusing this, looking for that one.
Exactly.
Okay, and again, another thing that makes them not to, the feeding bottle is faster. Remember, it has an opening on the teeth.
Yes.
So sometimes, like when you're hungry, they give you feeding, but you gulp it down faster. So when we call it nipple confusion when, you know, a child feeds more on the feeding bottle. You know, so women feel like breastfeeding would prefer you to feed directly from the breast.
Okay.
And not, some women will say I'm exclusively breastfeeding, but they still express it and put it in the feeding bottle.
Exactly.
No. If you do that, the child will be confused. You know, they will prefer to feed on the bottle. The way they gulp it down is less job, you know, for them. Yeah, it's less job. But the feed from the breast milk, you know, they take time and suckle and rest. Suckle and rest.
But you know what, Dr. Love, I think some women, you know, when you go for antenatal, they explain to you that you must position yourself in a way that the baby can actually suck easily and be full on time. I think some mothers, especially new moms, they do not know how to position their hands or the baby, their back and all that. Can you just give a small demo on how you can just position yourself?
What I tell women is you get a very comfortable seat with a backrest.
Okay.
You understand? So you rest your back. The bum of the baby should be on your palm.
Okay.
And the head here. I wish I had a demo.
Yeah,
you know, the bum where you carry your baby like this. And I said before, the baby to the breast, not the breast to the baby.
Oh.
You may have to get a stool to support your leg, or you cross your leg. Or there are other pillows that we use that we can use to, you know, support your arm, so that you don't get tired or the baby doesn't weigh too much on you. Okay, so that is how you do it. With a pillow, there's a breastfeeding pillow. It's curved, you know, somehow where you rest your hand. Then remember, assuming this is the baby, this is the bum, carry the baby like this. You know, it's easy.
It's easier.
Easy. Carry, you know, and the head, you support it on your arm. You understand? And then bring the baby to yourself. Remember, don't hunch over. Your back will hurt.
And you make your breast sag too.
Yeah, so you bring the baby towards you. Remember, there's a way, you know, the nipple. Baby is supposed to latch on the areola. Areola is the black, that black part of the not just the nipple. If you give the baby just the tip of your nipple, he may chew on it or and crack it. So the lips of the baby should be round your areola. Remember, there are ducts in the areola. So when the baby latches on it, you know, it will also help the milk to come. Other times, there are times women, you know, don't leave the breast for the baby. It will weigh on the baby.
It can even suffocate.
Yes, so somehow we use our hands. Somehow there's a way we put it, like a scissors. You know, put it like this. Somehow trying to allow the baby the space too. And at the same time, these hands also help to press on the ducts. There are ducts behind that areola. That is where the milk is deposited. And then you somehow press it, and also helps to, you know, drive the milk to the baby.
Very important.
Another thing we also tell women, when you are breastfeeding, breastfeed on one breast per meal.
Okay.
By that I mean, in one feeding time, feed on one breast before you go to the other. The breast milk, there is what we call fore milk and the hind milk. Like, for instance, a milk is settled, you put a milk in a jar. Somehow the main cocoa settles down.
Exactly.
And the other one that is like water comes up.
Yes.
So if you feed a few minutes on this, you know, and then rush back to this, your baby is just feeding on the fore milk. The concentrated one is still behind. You know, so you have to feed until the baby takes the fore and the hind milk. Make sure he feeds on everything that has been produced here in all its totality.
So, but how do you know? Like, how do you know? Because someone says, like a doctor says, the child feeds more on the left breast than on the right breast. I don't know how true that is.
No.
But at the same time, but the truth is, I think when you feed on the first, like the right breast, and it's almost empty, you will know as a mom.
you
then
know.
you quickly shift over.
Yes.
Oh.
But by that time it's empty. The hind milk is also emptied as well.
Okay.
And you feel the emptiness. You would.
Wow.
Yeah. And so by that time, most time the baby is filled up. So you now wait for the other time to feed. When it's next time to feed, there, don't say this milk somehow. Or for some people, one breast flows more than the other.
They said the left breast.
I don't know. I'm not
so
but one always flows more than. But it's not the reason why you should just be feeding on that. Remember, if you face that one, somehow that one gets bigger than the other.
Women, I'm telling you, and it's so painful. I want to be humble.
So somehow be intentional. Please just decide that after this is this one, regardless of the size or the volume that is produced. You understand? So we just go turn by turn on this one, and the next meal you go for the other.
Yeah, very important. And then giving that child that healthy nutrition. You know what? I really need to laugh on this. Let's quickly go on a very quick break. We'll continue shortly. Stay tuned. What? That thing. All right, you are welcome back to the first discuss on Global Morning this beautiful Tuesday morning, talking about breastfeeding week. And like I mentioned, I am not doing it alone. I have Dr. Love Okafo here with me on the program. Of course, she's an obstetrician and a gynecologist at Limi Hospital here in Abuja. All right, Dr. Love, talking about breastfeeding, a woman, how can she on her own give the best when it comes to breast milk to the child, so there will not be any lapses and all of that? What is she supposed to do to give back constantly?
Okay, first of all, you have to be intentional. Have to decide that I want to exclusively breastfeed. It's decision. Just like when you are determined, you set a target for yourself and you say, I'm going to achieve this. It's same with breastfeeding. Set a target that I want to do this. 6 months, I want to exclusively breastfeed my child. And you see it's doable, it's possible. Then when you have made that decision, you plan for it. You know, like I said, input and output, they are same. You have to dedicate time for breastfeeding. It's not the time you start traveling and, you know, some women, they give the maternity leave, you want to go to your no. is for baby, is for that child. So you dedicate time to breastfeeding. Don't be in a hurry for the child to get off your breast so that you go and do it. No. Then you must feed very well.
Very important.
Breastfeeding is a product of conscious effort, intentional plans made. So the quality you produce is dependent on the things you have eaten. That's why I say taste breast milk. I've seen many. It's flowing, but the quality is not nutritious.
And you will know when the quality is not right.
Yes, the color, the
exactly,
thickness.
That's
very
true.
important. So you plan. So that's what we also encourage our men. Plan with the woman. You give her money. Buy things. The Igbo people will call it omugo.
Yes, that's
it is planned. Your mother will come. It's not time to stress her. If you stress her, she wouldn't produce enough milk.
That's true.
So she needs help, someone to help with the baby so that she can have enough sleep when she needs to have sleep, someone to help even make the meal for her.
Yeah.
Because she may just be, these babies, they stay 1 hour on breast, It's work.
Yes,
so
it is.
She may not even have time to even cook. So you have to help her with cooking, with cleaning, so that she would dedicate that time to breastfeeding.
Very important.
And then feed her well.
Very important.
That, the people, like, you see some people that are not very well to do, they do exclusive breastfeeding more than the elite. But you see their children, they don't look very healthy. Why? Because she's not eating enough.
That's true.
They don't even have money to buy the formula. So they are the ones that do exclusive breastfeeding pass now. They feed even some. If you need them, they'll go even exclusively breastfeed for 1 year. But because with time the nutrition and everything content
diminish, of course.
So they do the exclusive breastfeeding 6 months. You don't even need to beg them like you beg the,
because that's the way forward, really.
Yeah, but you see, the babies are not even looking very healthy because she's not feeding well.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
the woman needs to feed well. It is what you eat that you give out to
you know what, Dr. Love, in situations like this, someone will say, Dr. Love, I know you're saying all of this things, feed well with this harsh economy. Please get your vegetables.
You don't need to break
what are you saying? Don't break the bank.
When we say feed well, you just balance it. It's rainy season now. Vegetables, you can plant some around your garden.
I'm telling you, make so much
green vegetables. That's all.
And make your eba or your semovita and eat and be happy.
Yes, really. You don't need to break bank.
You don't need to break the bank.
Things around you.
Exactly. Just make it in excess and then eat as much. You don't have to have. Just make it in excess and just eat as much. You don't need to break the bank. So it's for everyone. You heard what she said. Lots of water. So you don't need to say it's for the elite and all of that. They can eat, they can afford this. No, with your little you can afford it and do so much for yourself. Now let's shift a bit and talk about hygiene when it comes to breastfeeding. Most women, when they go to the hospital, they say, I'm doing the exclusive breastfeeding, I've not done anything, but yet my child is stooling and all of that. What is going on? What is she doing wrong?
What I think she may be doing wrong, like I mentioned before, where a woman, you feed the child only breast milk, but you express it and put it in feeding bottle.
Exactly.
Remember, you can't be 100% clean with all the you clean your. Can't. Remember, feeding bottle also they have crevices.
Exactly.
Do you understand? Even either your hand can also contaminate the teeth of the feeding bottle. Maybe touching your body, sometimes it will enter one place. You see some women use it and
clean.
Yes. So those are I'm sorry. Those are ways you can contaminate. You are feeding breast milk, but the medium you are feeding is through. And it's not clean enough.
And just to add to what you've said, sometimes your inner clothing, your underwear is not well washed. And then some women immediately they breastfeed. Some women just early in the mornings, you don't go take your bath, clean yourself, like seriously.
They wash bra.
Really?
Remember, sometimes the breast milk will spill into
and it has a bad smell.
Yes, and they wear it 2 days, 3 days before they clean up. So those are the ways a child can, gets diarrhea.
Exactly. Oh my goodness, Dr. Love, I wish you had more time. We had more time to talk more on this. Now, one more question. Now, how does breastfeeding promote a strong bond between the mother? I really want you to emphasize that, because it's very important that we know how it just brings the child and the mother together. You know, when the child is breastfeeding, he looks into the mother's eyes or something to know the mom, the voice, and all of that.
You know that story in the Bible where, I can't remember where, you know, you are from, you know, I think, was it Moses or was picked up when Pharaoh
yes,
and there was a nanny he had that was constantly telling him that, breastfeeding is everything. In fact, my child that I'm closest to is the one that I breastfed longest. Yes, the bond, I don't know how to explain it. It's the one I breastfed longest. You talk, you communicate. Remember, there's a time a baby will bite your nipple and you'll be like, they know you.
Exactly.
You talk to them, you communicate, you know, and I will be like, boy, you are biting mommy. You see, sometimes they laugh and giggle.
Exactly.
They know you teach. That is the bonding. You teach them values, things. They read your face.
Yes, they do.
They do, and know when you're happy, when you. Sometimes you did not spank the child and he's crying because mommy has put a face somehow. So it's the bond. I don't know how to explain it.
You know,
I don't know how to, but it's so powerful.
Yes, it is.
It unites the family.
Yes, it does.
You see, sometimes you see the father will just be envying the bond between the mother and child.
But you know, Dr. Love, it's you know, there's a way, and then the thing about all of this, despite the mother breastfeeding and all of that, the child still says daddy first.
Yes.
He still says
yes, I don't know whether that because on that it's easy to pronounce, but even the child knows a father that is present.
Exactly.
He knows a father. When you are supporting your wife,
an intentional dad.
Yes, an intentional. You're always around when the baby feeds. Sometimes you like, mommy, come and feed your baby. Your baby is hungry. The child knows.
Yes, he does.
He feels it. It's not. We can't touch it, but it's something we feel. And everybody around the father, the mother, everybody is happy about it. And this is product of exclusive breastfeeding.
Yes,
you can't stay indoors with somebody 6 months and the person is not bonded with you. It doesn't happen.
It doesn't
happen.
Thank you so much, Dr. Love Okafo, for this. We're going to throw more light. So individuals out there, you have to stay glued to Global Television, because on Health Guide, we're going to throw a lot of emphasis on issues, especially when it has to do with the areola, when the child sucks so much and then there's so much injury around the breast. What does the mother do? I know a lot of new moms and moms who are breastfeeding go through this sort of issue. But at the same time, we're going to delve into it in the course of Health Guide on Thursday, by the grace of God. And like I mentioned before, I am being joined by an amazing friend of mine, Dr. Love Okafo. She is a consultant obstetrician and a gynecologist at the Limi hospitals right here in Abuja Central area. Yeah. Thank you so much, darling, for being a part of the program. And please,
it's my pleasure.
Women out there, say something to a woman that is breastfeeding or a new mom. Just look at that camera and say something to her.
Okay, what I have to tell you is that it's very profitable to you, to the baby, to the family, and to the society at large. A well breastfed baby is a healthy baby and is a product of the society. So we encourage all of you to do exclusive breastfeeding. If you have any confusion at all, come to me. I'm at the Limi Hospitals, Abuja. We are baby-friendly hospital. I'm very accessible, and I can also put you through if there are any confusion.
Thank you so much, Dr. Love. And at this point, we have to wrap it up on the first discuss of the day on Global Morning. Hope you had an amazing time with us today. And remember, it is Breastfeeding Week throughout this week. Yes, that is what it is. And driving nutritional investment in mothers. Women are key, amazing gender, right?
Yeah.
You see? She just said, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, the next discuss follows shortly. Keep it locked. It's Global Television. Do not go anywhere. Thank you all so much for being a part of the program. Thank you so much, Dr. Love,
for
being a part of the program.
My pleasure, man.
All right, stay tuned.
Thank you.
Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning. All right, you're welcome back, and it's the second segment of Global Morning and the second discuss of the day. We're still going to delve into breastfeeding week, and of course is driving nutritional investments in mothers, talking about it. And the doctor that was here, Dr. Love Okafor, she said something. She said there is something called paternity leave. You know, most men out there wonder, what do you want me to do in this aspect? Well, to show that support and care, give your wife the necessary care, love, understanding, monies that you need to, all the good stuff combined. Mr. I don't like that face.
No, I'm not. Well, let's just say I'm trying to be comfortable with the part that says money. But what can we do? It's not negotiable.
Whatever.
I knew you would mention that.
We have to. It's very important. But of course, she mentioned a lot when it comes to breastfeeding, and of course the bond in which it brings from mother to child, and also the nutritional value. You know, we mentioned that in the morning. It helps the brain of the child to develop. It prevents the child from all of these diseases when it comes to diarrhea, when it comes to temperature, when it comes to all of these things encompass that newborn babies they go into. Even it helps to douse meningitis and all of that. So it's very important that women make it intentional to breastfeed their babies. It's very important. For us, she said 6 months, but some can. She said you can breastfeed for as long as you want, 2 years. Some, if you can, 3 years if you have the muscle. But at the same time, making it intentional as a mother to put at the back of your mind that the child, you have made up your mind that the child will be breastfed for this duration of his or her life. Very, very important. And that you as a mother should be very intentional. And she mentioned that it contains everything when it comes to water and all of that. So don't say the child is thirsty, let me mix breast milk and water. It has all of that, all the nutrients combined, all the classes of foods combined, so you do not have to stress yourself. And she mentioned a very vital part. She says, in order to give the best when it comes to breastfeeding, you have to eat well. Because it's what you put in, you're actually giving to that child. Garbaging. So if you eat lots of, if you love chocolates like me, you have to stop that. You have to eat foods that are good food when it comes to vegetables, when it comes to carbohydrates, when it comes, you don't have to break a bank. Most people will say, Juma, what are you talking about with this economy? I don't have all the money for that. And I said, it's the rainy season. There are vegetables all around. You can make your delicious crayfish vegetable soup, and your swallow by the side. It could be eba, it could be semovita, tuwo shinkafa. Let it be in that quantity, because a woman who's breastfeeding eats a lot, so you can actually eat that. But if you can afford variety, so be it. But if you cannot, live within your means and make the best out of it, and still eat that nutritional food that will give your child the best when it comes to breastfeeding.
Right. I like the part that, makes this a week-long conversation.
Yes.
1 week of commemoration, 1 week to pay attention and drill down into the nitty-gritty of the fundamental elements around breastfeeding, beyond just seeing it as food for the infant. Let's also understand the hygiene factor in it. How that, like Juma extensively mentioned, the need for mothers to eat right, eat healthy, because at the end you're feeding a child whose mind is blank, if a child who has just come into the world. It's not like Juma and I who can make choices between options as to what you're having for breakfast, lunch, and all of that. I think that's very important. And then the part again, like I mentioned at the top of the show this morning, that talks about investing in breastfeeding, investing in the future, and even government understands that. They have a very pivotal role to play.
Yes, they do.
Private sector stakeholders and actors are also throwing their hat on the ring, and then you have mothers across the world. You have women who are also jumping in on this conversation.
Very true.
We can't say we are proud of any future when we're actually not investing in things that have to do with breastfeeding. But Juma, you're disappointing me now. You didn't mention paternity leave. That's where you start from.
I want to talk about the women that do the most work.
Okay.
And for as much as you men, we always very fast. But the truth is, for as much as there are intentional men out there, there are intentional men who show support and care. Paternity leave of 2 weeks in some states are being granted to men who their wives just gave birth and all of that, to put the house in order when it comes to, it's okay, you got this, you can do this, and all of that. Help her, because she says it takes a lot of work. A child can suckle on the mother's breast for like an hour. So you have to, and it's overwhelming. It's not easy. You have to show the support that it's okay, we're in this together. You have to be intentional.
That's right.
For as much as you're not doing the work, but your presence around, that 2 weeks presence around, giving that support as a husband, and ensuring that she eats well, ensuring that everything is okay. And we spoke about hygiene. I had to speak on it because some women who are very
they follow the toll of breastfeeding, they take it by the horn and they do it, and their kids still have diarrhea and all that. She says it's bad personal hygiene for women that do not wash their underwears, like the bras. You keep repeating. And I said breast milk has a very bad smell. If you cannot take good care of yourself, it's very important that you cannot just you have breastfed throughout the night and then you in the morning you want to continue. No, you have to go take your bath. You have to clean yourself very well, smell good, get the right underwear, and before you even breastfeed that child. It's very important. So please let's not be lazy about it. For as much as you have individuals around that can help you wash your laundry and all of that, you have to be very intentional when it comes to
it. In other words, take personal responsibility for your hygiene.
In fact, it's very important. It's the number one. Personal hygiene is key when it comes to breastfeeding. It's very important that women understand. But some women are too tired, which I understand, but the child is very important. So it's very important that we take this by the horn.
Incidentally, I mean, this is interesting. The bulk of this conversation is dedicated to women for obvious reasons. Jim and I started this program this morning. One of the things we highlighted for you was the latest champs in the world, the D-Tigress, what they've done with the Afro Basket tournament, how they've made Nigeria, Africa, and women across the world very proud.
I like that.
Yes, beyond the gifts, the cash rewards, the houses, the national honors, we also now realize that these ladies have, amongst other things, positioned themselves as a bundle of inspiration for young girls to follow. To say that every young girl, regardless of your age, every young lady must not end up in sports of any kind, whether basketball, football, whatever it is. But whatever path, professionally and career-wise, on which you find yourself, you must bring in that thing, that element, that spark that makes you unique.
Very true.
You must be resilient, you must stay the course, you must be tenacious, you must understand where you're heading with all of this, and you must know that your competitors are not in Lagos State or in Abuja. Right, they are now in Frankfurt, they are now in Paris,
they
are now in London, they are now in Tokyo, and everywhere else across the world. And that's exactly what these ladies have done. They've shown to us that impossible does not exist.
Impossible. I like what's
happening
it's making me happy today.
I don't even want me to buy myself big guns today. I get the message.
Making me happy. Let's give kudos to the women who have made us proud, who have shown Nigeria to the world, to say we have what it takes to bring the trophy home. It's very important. I think there's a lesson learned behind all of this.
Right.
Little girls out there who look up to these beautiful women, the Falcons, the Falconettes, and the D-Tigress, who have done us proud, can actually know that your dreams and aspirations can come true with hard work, dedication, once you put your mind to it. And if you look at the bio of some of the players, they have achieved a lot.
Right.
Like one of them, what's her name again? The one from the United States. That she is a biochemist. Right. She's one of the best Leeds University in America, and she is red. So
these are not pushovers.
No, these are not pushovers. So you don't have to say to yourself, I want to focus. Like I was discussing with Ramsey, and I said, for all of these rewards and awards given to these athletes, it's a step in the right direction, because they have given Nigerians and Nigeria honor, and we should appreciate them. And that is why some of our players back in the day, the men's team, I would say, some of them.
To go gender specific on this one.
I'm just saying. What have I said wrong now? But at the same time, but it should be said, some of our players that were not doing really good for themselves. They made Nigeria proud. And then there is nothing like they're not pensionable. After the whole highlight of taking Nigeria from glory to glory, it ends there. You see them, some of them were sick. Oh my goodness, it was so sad. Like they couldn't pay their hospital bills. They were living like they were not even recognized. It's just now that some of them are being recognized, Austin Okocha and the rest of them. But at the same time, people like Rashidi Yekini, who gave us those goals, because I knew how it was back in the day. Like, I think what our president is doing amazing, but I think these players deserve much more. It's just me, my own perception, because the way they end up later on, because some of them, this is all they know when it comes to sports.
Right.
So I think a lot more needs to be done, because they've given Nigeria, taking us to that pedestal, and we need to honor them. It's very important. Now, coming back to the Super Falcons and the Tigers now, I love you. I love, we all love, we love you. We say we love them.
I love them.
But at the same time, our children should look up to them. Parents should be very supportive and still insist you can actually merge the two when it comes to education. For me, you can still attain whatever height you want, but have a backup.
Right.
Because after football, because football has a retirement age, you cannot play football forever. And a lot of things that comes with sports, you know, injuries, knee injuries, particularly, I know they say, exactly. So you have to have a backup, and I feel education is the backup, or a skill. You cannot put your
marketable, profitable, scalable skill.
In fact, you have said it all. It's very, for as much as you should, and please, investment for all these $100 million is not a small deal right now, because I'm thinking of going into football.
Well, we'll get your manager.
Will you be my manager when it comes to this? I'm thinking of playing right now, because, but jokes apart, but the truth is, please, let's not get carried away by it. Investment is very important. For as much as you have an educational background, please get a skill, because you will not reign forever. The truth is, retirement will come, and I think most of our Super Eagles, those that played back in the day, they didn't think about that, because when you hear some of the stories, which is very sad, and I think we as a country can do more, and I feel because they are doing something really great when it comes to promoting Nigeria, and they should be pensionable. Really, I think that is it. That's the best gift you can actually give any athlete who has represented us well. That is the gift you can give, with the side hustle in which they have and all of that, so that we won't hear unpalatable stories of he died because he couldn't pay his hospital bills, or the house in which he lives in is nothing to write home about. He doesn't even have a good car or something. It's really sad. Really, it's really, really sad. I think we can do more, but our president has done really well by this reward, and of course this award to our amazing Falconets, and of course the Tigers. Kudos, women. Thank you so much for what you bring to the table. You see, we brought something to the table now. We brought honor. What did we bring?
You brought honor. You brought glory.
More, please.
You brought pride.
Oh my God. I'm emotional right now.
But you know, do you mind just mention President Bola Tinubu? I think we need to also highlight this, right? And then, of course, you talked about the likes of blessed memory Rashidi Yekini, one of the finest strikers the world has seen.
Oh yes.
Back in the day, Senegal, Tunisia '92. Yes. For example, that was the African Cup of Nations. USA '94, the World Cup.
Oh my goodness.
And these guys were there. The likes of JJ Okocha, several of them like that. Baba Yaro, they were all there.
They were all there.
Now, by the time they returned from World Cup in 1994, we know that the government then, of course, it was military government under late dictator Sani Abacha, had promised them houses. That was in 1994. In 2025, it was President Bola Tinubu who redeemed that pledge. 31 years later.
Exactly.
Just within a few weeks, we've seen him reward the Falconers. We've seen him reward the Tigers.
Yeah.
We're seeing divergence assessment of these issues. People say that, look, there are more pressing needs that should be met. There are more important things we should pay attention to. We have more cogent issues to invest in, and all of that. All of those arguments are valid, no doubt. But if there is anything, it has highlighted that we need to also pay attention, establish that culture, imbibe that culture where we reward people who have done well, who have moved the country from point A to point B.
Very true. Very true. I agree.
It's also in the same country we say that Juma has served the country for a certain number of years. She deserves to be rewarded. She deserves to be recognized.
Yes.
So now Juma is being recognized. Juma is being rewarded. We say no. Why don't you also think about we need to build a road for him in his village and all of that? Of course, we need to do all of that in his village. No doubt about that. But can we not take it one step at a time? Appreciate it. and then we also have conversation about what is left to be done.
Very true.
Because we've seen people who have gone on to make the country proud, they put their lives on the line, all right, to just protect the interest of the country, advance the overall interest of this country, and then they come back with nothing to show for it. And we're begging and saying the president should give them a handshake, the president should give them a national honor, the president should recognize them, award them, honor them, blah, 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 blah. So I think, quite frankly, this is a step in the right direction.
Yes, it is.
And we also need to establish that we must find a way to replicate this success, this victory in other areas. So who are the young girls going into tech, for example? Who are the young girls going into academics? Who are the young girls going into research across different fields?
Very true.
Going into STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. We must find them. We must bring their energy. I mean, nobody's even talking about Coach Wakama, for example.
Exactly.
Who led these young promising ladies into victory.
Exactly.
So how many more Wakamas do we have in other areas? In broadcasting, in the judiciary, in politics, in leadership, in SME sector. It must be a kind of panoramic victory that we're having beyond just sports. So this is an eye-opener. This is more like T-Pain, the musician. US rap singer.
You listen to T-Pain? Okay.
Yes, well, I used to. This is what he calls epiphany. So this is an epiphany for,
yes, it is.
For Nigeria. But this conversation must not end with these honors.
It mustn't end with this honor. You've spoken my mind. Talking about honors and giving honors to whom honors is due. Talking about the ex-soldiers who have come out to protest again. Right. Now that's something, it is disheartening to see the individuals are coming out to protest for what is due to them. These individuals have served this country. They have gone all out when it comes to lives and properties, and I think the needful should be done, and it's that is why the youth are not encouraged, because once I give my all to Nigeria and then you're done with service, it's going to take a pull by the leg before I get what is due to me.
What is duly yours?
What is duly mine? So this is not even a conversation. Individuals who are ex-soldiers, who God has kept them alive for their families, not talking about their classmates who have died in the cause of war, in the cause of protecting this country, in the cause of going out to fight individuals who are well equipped than them, survived. Right. And now they want to sit and rest and enjoy what is due to them. They're coming out to protest. Now, you see, this is a sight for sore eyes. Right. And I don't think it is palatable. Like, really, there's a lot that needs to be done when it comes to these areas. I'm not saying that this particular sector is bigger than this, or this particular organization is better or bigger than this. They're all important, but sometimes you have to acknowledge those that are working, who are putting their lives on the line on the daily. And that is why most individuals who are in service here will prefer to betray and do otherwise, because they know it is profitable for me to do otherwise than to do the needful, and at the end of the day I did not get what is due to me and my family. So it's just unfortunate that this is where it is, but hopefully the needful will be done so that we can all move forward. There are some things that are not supposed to come out. It's not good in the ear, right. And it's not good for, that's why I said it's really a bad sight for sore eyes. And well, let's quickly go on a very quick break, and we'll be back, and then we'll just continue with the rest discuss of the day. Remember, it's Global Morning on Global Television. Stay tuned.
Is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
One of the headlines we highlighted for you this morning from newspapers was the one that talks about some 192,000 results from the West African Examination Council being withheld by the exam body over, well, now it says it's malpractice. So let's recall that between April and May this year, as is always the case, has been the case for several years, the school version of the Senior School Certificate Examination, SSC, was conducted. So, of course, as is always the case too, the results are usually out between July and August of same year. So it just takes about, give or take, 3 months for those results to be released. Now, we're hearing that at least 192,000 of them have been withheld by the West African Examination Council on account of malpractice. Now, malpractice is a phenomenon that's been here for a long time. However, the number is worrying because it will appear we're doing an upward, if you like, projection, all right, of these numbers, then you're asking how many persons actually enrolled for the exam. How many persons eventually wrote the exams versus the number we're now seeing regarding those who have been accused of malpractice. Like I was talking with Joma about this morning, the drill is always that at some point, I will investigate to determine those who have basically been fingered, I mean, those who are culpable in this allegation of malpractice, and then of course they have their own standard procedure for dealing with that, while others who have been exonerated will be let off the hook. But I think this highlights a much bigger problem, Juma. The problem of whether or not we prepare for exams, any kind of exams. Problem of how much we prepare, that's if we prepare at all. And then the triggers, the factors that drive malpractice, because they say there's no smoke without fire.
Very true.
So if you continue to have prevalence of malpractice, then it's only common sense, it's only natural that you want to probe into what the drivers could be.
Very true. Like we keep having this have you noticed that we keep going back and forth when it comes to malpractices in Nigeria, especially when it comes to exams, WAEC, JAM, and all of that? And then I think individuals need to take responsibility. And you mentioned something. You said, of course, there are malpractices when you look at other countries like the US, but it's not as projected as it is here in Nigeria. That's because everyone is finding the easy way out of situations. No one wants to come back and write these exams again, and no one wants to fail, because of course for those that their parents have gone through smoke, they've gone through rain to get this money to pay for these exams, it takes a toll on the family. And for some parents just want their kids. There are some parents that actually support malpractice in order for their child to pass.
In other words, they even sponsor it.
What are you saying? Yes. Some parents do that. They sponsor, you get missionaries to actually write their. Back in the day, that was what it is. I know someone that was what he does. He writes exams for WAEC exams, JAM, and he gets away with it. And because a lot of parents do not want to go back and forth when it comes to this issue, because he knows how education takes a toll on the child. There's some kids that will finish secondary school 5 years ago and they will still not gain admission in the tertiary institution. So to avoid all of that, that's why a lot of issues like this happen, to bypass and boycott all of this and just move to the next level, because we all know what the educational sector is talking about. I'm not saying that I am in support of malpractice, but this is what it is. This is what we've found ourselves. Now look at the mass failure. It's a lot, Uyi. And 38 point how many percent people came out maths and English. And just imagine, who is going to be happy with all of that?
By the way, we heard that the bulk of them are girls again.
You see now.
Again.
God, you see what's going on. You see, the girls are just making after the program, we'll talk about this issue. But the truth of the matter, no, just looking at this issue, it's really sad to see that. But we really need to know where is this problem coming from? Why is it that it takes a toll on maths and English, this particular subject, maths and English, which is a criteria, by the way, with 3 credits in order for you to move to the next level? It's a very serious problem. I think we need to nip it in the bud as soon as possible. But how do we curb this menace of malpractice? It has been upgoing. Even if it doesn't, we do not eradicate it, but let us try and nip it a bit and see how far it goes. But I think we have a lot to do when it comes to this issue, because no one wants to pay examination fees twice or thrice because really we know what the country is talking about. So anything goes at this point.
Okay, so I'm going to share a bit of a personal experience. Maybe that's the best word I can find off the top of my head. So this was about 15, 16 years ago.
Okay.
It was raining heavily in a different city in this country, and then I decided to take cover somewhere. Turns out to be an office where a lot of typing and computer work was done, owned by an academic who at the time was an assistant professor. So he engaged other academics like himself. His friends, I suppose, they were talking about some of the issues regarding malpractice, the state of education in the country. Like I said, this was 15, 16 years ago. I was much a younger boy. And they talked about the issue of post-UTME, the idea where it came out from, who muted it and all that. They went ahead to talk about what they believed from their own assessment, from experience. Of course, these were men at the time who were in their 50s, early 60s, all right, where they think the origin was, all right, from. And one of them said that from his own observation, he had noticed that there was a time when you had white men in this country. That was just at the twilight of colonialism in Nigeria. You had a lot of white men who were teaching, non-Nigerians, some of them Portuguese people who were teaching in this country, Britons as teachers,
Canadians.
They were almost practically worshipped. They were more like deity. So for many parents, again, there's no smoke without fire. For many parents, it was a case of a benchmark. So if Juma were a white lady or a white man and she was a teacher, the average parent wanted their child to become like you, so you were the role model. And to make that happen, there was no price too high to pay, including cutting corners to pass exams. Now, this is not my opinion, this was somebody talking. I was eavesdropping because I found it interesting. He said from that point on, this was sometime around the 50s into the 60s, it just became a bad situation becoming worse. By the time it was the 90s, we started now having what, for the most part, especially in the southern part of the country, you call miracle centers. We have seen in our lifetime where a couple, a man and his wife, would argue over where their son or daughter should write WAEC or NECO. Especially WAEC. The father says, no, this child is already in a government school. Let them stay there, write their WAEC, and exits. And then, of course, we start talking about JAMB and post-UTME and the elders. And the mom says, no, this child's chances of passing WAEC in a government school where they currently are extremely slim. Their chances are brighter if they go to one of these miracle centers. Of course, we've seen what authorities have done to many of these miracle centers.
Yeah, special centers.
Miracle centers, yes, and things like that. So you can imagine how it even impacts parents and parenting, because now there's conflict. The man wants one thing, his wife wants another thing, over the same child, over the same issue. And then it brings you to the systemic aspect of the issue. How does somebody spend between 3 and 6 months studying to write an exam? Let's say why, because that's what is in our front this morning. And then they are done. You tell them you can't find their scripts. I mean, and you want them to take it as though it's normal. You want to normalize it, all right? Because this is a hydra-headed problem, and must approach it as such. The child has written the exam. They've taken their time, everything organic. They didn't cut corners. They went the whole hog. They went through the rigors. They took the time, they put in the work, and then you say you can't find biology, you can't find math.
It's pending. You didn't add it's pending.
The pending part is even what's traumatic for many of them. At least if you say you can't find the scripts, you can, okay, well, there's some closure, as painful as it is. But when you say pending, they are suspended for the wrong reason.
Exactly.
And then you're already leaving this child with no other option than to go receive that exam. So they're likely going to lose at least 1 year.
Yes.
You say, well, it's better late than never. They try again. This time, they probably fail because they are still traumatized from the previous experience.
Exactly.
So at what point are critical stakeholders, whoever they may be, going to have a sit down over these issues, look themselves eyeball to eyeball? If they're going to do peer review, they're going to compare notes, but they will ultimately, by all means, end up telling themselves the truth.
Very important. I like where this is heading. And of course, someone needs to take responsibility.
Right.
It's very important. Responsibility is key. I think that's where closure starts. When you take responsibility, we know that, okay, you are responsible. Right. So let's see.
Where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here? It's very important. And I think this will have to be a conversation for another day because of our time. But truly, the stakeholders or whoever is in charge needs to take responsibility and know that it's not the fault of maybe the parents or the students or they themselves on the way they mark their scripts or the lackadaisical attitude surrounding all of that. It's just, they used to tell a story. Back in the day when I wrote WAEC, my teacher who said, it's not about you praying now that you pass maths and English. Pray that the person that is marking your script, his wife did not frustrate his life.
He's not drunk.
He's not drunk. Because if he handles your script, the individual has failed. And truly, if you look at it,
let's say someone who's an invigilator who's going to mark the script and all of that, and his wife tells him something like, yeah, look at this, calls him all sorts of names and all of that. The anger in which you will put, even if you're writing the right thing, just know you're going to feel that day.
Because he's not in the best headspace.
His frame of mind is 0.000. And that is what it is now. Individuals who come up to mark because they're going to be compensated, not because of the zeal involved, or because you want our future generations to actually lead or go ahead, or I'm just marking because I'm going to be paid at it. Whether I mark rubbish or I mark the right thing,
it's nothing more than a duty.
It's nothing more than a duty. It's just unfortunate that this is what it is, and I think it needs a whole new restructure when it comes to this particular issue.
Right.
It's a very serious issue, and if you look at it, if we investigate thoroughly, you'll be shocked with what you will find. All right, at this point, we have to wrap it up on the program Global Morning. Hope you had an amazing time with us today. Well, you can join us same time tomorrow, though, right, Uwe?
That's right.
And, of course, same time, 7 o'clock, where we start with the AM News. And, of course, the newspaper review segment follows, and segments of social buzz, the weather, first and second discuss of the day, and then we wrap it up on the program. Thank you all so much for being a part of the program. I am Jumai Manson, and my amazing co-host with the amazing glasses, no other person than...
Thank you for watching.
Bye.